Jamaal Bowman is facing a opposition for his place. But let me first say this. No incumbent should ever feel like they own a seat. That's number one. No incumbent own a seat. However, no incumbent generally has to worry about their seat if they're doing a good job, if they have good values and they're performing for their audience. And Jamaal Bowman did just that. Jamaal Bowman did just that and more. Jamaal Bowman went into Israel, into Gaza, and to see things for himself. In other words, he wasn't going to just go ahead and toe the line about what Netanyahu is doing in Gaza or anything like that. He went there and he went to the worst places. He didn't try to go to hotels or anything. He went to see what the people were going through. And for that and coming back and telling the truth and taking the honorable position, he has to pay. So AIPAC decided that they were going to take him out, just like they're trying to take out Cori Bush, just like they try to take out the woman in Philadelphia, Summer Lee. But you know what? Just like they failed in Philadelphia, let's hope they fail with Cori Bush in Missouri. Let's hope they failed with Jamaal Bowman. Jamaal Bowman only problem was the following. I want you to listen to Mr. Beinhart here, because this is the reality.
Peter Beinart, editor-at-large for Jewish Currents and author of the Beinart Notebook on Suspect. Before I get a question to you, Peter, let me play you Jamaal Bowman. He did an interview with our own Ali Vitale at NBC News. Take a look. Is that the central issue in this race as you see it, though?
It is, because he was recruited by AIPAC to run against me because I called for a permanent ceasefire very early on. So it is central because of that, and it's central because AIPAC and their affiliates are pouring in unprecedented amounts of money. This is the most expensive Democratic primary in U.S. history.
The question there was, is Israel-Gaza the central issue in this race? Why would that be the central issue in a race in the Bronx? Your thoughts?
The reason that Jamaal Bowman is under such unprecedented attack is because he did something unusual, which is he actually went to see for himself what life is like for Palestinians. You know, most of these members of Congress, AIPAC takes them on a trip. They stay in some fancy hotels in Israel. They never see what life is like for Palestinians who have lived their entire lives without the most basic of rights. Jamaal Bowman went to Hebron, which is of all the cities in the West Bank, it is the most brutally oppressive, in a place that has been called an apartheid state, even by Israel's own human rights organizations, where Palestinians can't even walk on certain streets. And he had the courage to come back and talk about it. And for that reason, he's under unprecedented attack right now.
He's not alone. Cori Bush is another top person on the AIPAC list. There's a guy named Wesley Bell, a St. Louis prosecutor that was recruited to run against her. This guy used to be a campaign manager for a conservative Republican who was anti-abortion. Now he's running as a Democrat. You're seeing this across the board, whether it's Summer Lee. You can go through a lot of these, particularly members of color, who have been critical of Israel, and why AIPAC is spending a lot of money to replace them with people they prefer. And they're a Republican-leaning organization.
Right. In fact, there was a report that almost half of the AIPAC donors are putting money into these Democratic primaries have given to Republicans. And what this is about is that partly these people will support Israel unconditionally no matter what. And they want to squelch any opposition to Israel's policies, and they want to intimidate other members of Congress. But that's not also it. The AIPAC donors are also extremely wealthy people. So it's not just that they want unconditional support for Israel. They also don't want their taxes to go up. They also don't want more regulations on businesses. And they know that people who have the guts to stand up for Palestinian freedom, which is a hard thing to do in Washington, are also going to be the people who are going to fight the hardest on climate, on healthcare, on immigration, on reproductive rights, on all those issues. And they would rather replace them with milquetoast corporate moderates who basically won't rock the boat and won't challenge corporate interests on anything.
We've seen in some races in North Carolina and Louisiana that you've had people run ostensibly as Democrats and then flip when it comes to whether or not Republicans can get a supermajority. That's happened now twice. Does it strike you that some of these more pro-Israel moderate, whatever you want to call them, are they, committed Democrats? If it came down to whether or not Republicans or Democrats would control the House, would you be confident that a Mr. Latimer or Wesley Bell would stay Democrats?
Well, these tend to be pretty blue districts, so I'd be surprised if they became Republicans because I think that could imperil their chances of re-election. But what they do is they basically just make the Democratic Party in Congress less progressive, more sympathetic to corporations, and they make ordinary Americans look at the Democratic Party and say, I don't understand this. This is a party that claims to believe in the principle of equality under the law, and yet it is sending more and more weapons to Israel. There's a report today from Save the Children that there are 20,000 children in Gaza who are unaccounted for, either missing or dead in mass graves or under the rubble. And people like George Latimer are being sent there to send more weapons. And this alienates ordinary Democrats, not just Muslims, but young people, progressive. They say, this is not a Democratic Party that represents me. And that's part of the reason that you have an enthusiasm gap with Joe Biden.
It's not only that AIPAC pumped a whole lot of money into Bowman and could possibly beat him with that money that coerced the people in the district, that lied to the people in the district, that gave them information with the wrong narrative, and that it's a Democrat doing that against a Democrat, right? We're supposed to feel like unity prevails. But here's the thing. It is important for us to understand that it's not only about AIPAC attacking Bowman or some other right-wing organization attacking Bowman in support of Latimer and Latimer making it clearly accepting all this, but it is those not only in the progressive media and elsewhere that haven't lended the unmitigated support for Bowman, if only because we have an AIPAC trying to take him out. We have a plutocracy, an agent of the plutocracy, an agent of the oligarchy, an agent of the rich trying to take him out. That alone should have been enough for every progressive organization out there to be laying the law of the land and making sure that Latimer is seen for what Latimer, if he wins, would have done. And I tell you what, that we didn't have the cavalry coming out as they should doesn't speak well for the progressive media. It may speak well for those who are acquiescing to the establishment, the plutocracy, the oligarchy, but it does very poorly represents that which it should.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number one, subscribe to our channel. And number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.